a lot of people have been talking about this. You talked about this a little bit in your review. There are a lot of callbacks to this movie. There's a lot of sort of like reference to the New Hope, and you can see Starkiller Base and the Death Star having parallels, and even some of the like trench fights and stuff like that. Too much nostalgia, just the right amount of callbacks? Do you think they went too far with anything? What do you guys think?
That was something I did a spoiler-free review of The Force Awakens, so I had to sort of walk around that. But to me, having The Force Awakens structurally be pretty much the exact same movie as A New Hope did sort of rub me the wrong way. I thought that, even some of the characters felt like, oh, it's just another Death Star.
It's like a template.
Right, and right from putting the key information in the droid, except instead of a princess, this time we have a rebel fighter. Even, some of the really small, like going to a cantina, that obviously is a callback to Mos Eisley Cantina. Yeah. Even having, it's more of an Empire Strikes Back moment, but like when C-3PO is between Han and Leia when they see each other for the first time. I was like, I felt like this movie didn't necessarily point fingers so much at it. A lot of the things worked. Like I really liked when we see the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and they're like, oh, that hunk of junk.
It's garbage. Yeah. She actually said.
The best thing is like I didn't even think about that. When
it was great.
It like totally subverted my expectation in that moment. Then
because you think Han Solo is going to be flying it, and I love that was like a piece of marketing that we just completely misunderstood.
Yeah,
it's Rey and Finn. But I did. It took me out of it a little bit because, when we got to the part that, again, spoiler, I'm going to say it every time before I say it because it's such a big deal, but like before Han Solo died, when he was like walking out over the walkway, I was like, oh, come on. There's no other place for like a father and son to fight in all the galaxy than like over a massive like cavernous
Guardrails are also not popular.
I was like, come on, you guys.
What function did that thing serve? This one little path across this humongous chasm.
It's called the confrontation platform.
Do you think it's like bowling where you can like opt to have the bumper up, but he just opted to have
I would hope so.
But I feel like I was maybe in the minority in the office about that. How about Eric?
No, I do agree with you. It's actually my one thing I would sort of most directly criticize about the movie is it is too much callbacks, even more than the prequels, which certainly had huge echoes, but has one single movie. Yeah, this one was extremely structurally reliant on the old ones, especially New Hope. Like you said, it's a nobody on a desert planet finds a droid with the secret plans, teams up with a group of people, including an old guy who knows the past history of the Jedi. Sure. Then there's a super weapon they have to get, so it was very, very similar. And to an extent, I was fine with that, but then there were sometimes I thought they went a little too far. And my biggest issue with it was probably the Starkiller Base, because it felt really like an afterthought. It felt like they felt they needed to do it, but they didn't really have a lot of ideas for it. So it's like, oh, it's bigger than the Death Star, and it can destroy multiple planets at the same time. But there wasn't any weight to it. Dramatically speaking, weight to it. So that was the Starkiller Base aspect that I kind of felt, I wish they had something else to do.
I was surprised that they went through that. Sorry, I'll be quick, but I was surprised they went to that point so quickly because I thought, we were talking about sort of how they killed the Republic all at once, which I thought was interesting because in A New Hope, they overthrew the Senate off screen. And to me, it felt like, we're showing it, but it's the same idea. But I'm like, there's no Republic. Like the First Order has been destroyed. Is the entire next movie just going to be Luke training Rey? Like, what is there even left to do out there?
Well, Snoke is out there, and I think that was the point. I feel like he was just the puppeteer of the entire First Order. Like that's how I felt about his character. Like he's the people who he is like actually wants to save because he's like, let's get this guy and this guy, get him in a shuttle, bring him over to me. And then I think everybody else they can just recruit and, steal from people's parents and make them into stormtroopers. But I agree with you. I think the Starkiller Base was the bridge too far or whatever. It was kind of the thing where I was like, oh, and then we're going to get the trench sequence. And it was all very cool, but it was the thing that I was like, we have to have more ideas like this. It worked in Return of the Jedi because it's like, okay, that's a callback. And of course they're going to try to rebuild this thing. Yeah. But like 30 years later, they rebuilt it, but it's like 10 times bigger.
Right. And still just has one area.
Yeah. Right.
Destroy the whole thing.
Yeah,
they got to fire their design team. That's what I'm saying.
I want to hear like a record scratch and be like, wait, what? They designed this the same way again? Come on, learn from the history books, people. But I don't know. I mean, for the most part, the nostalgic beats really worked for me. And I feel like they were really, really careful not to go super cutesy with references. Like probably the cutesiest one was the trash compactor.
And the chess.
And yeah,
which I was okay with. I thought that was
the
cute.
chest it just kind of came on, and he's like, oh, whatever. They just threw that away. But like the trash compactor thing was like, oh, that's spot on, right on the nose.
Yeah. Though Finn was a sanitation worker, so it
true.
would make sense that he would know where that is.
It did actually tie in. So yeah, I mean, I thought for me it was kind of. It wasn't really problematic until that. And honestly, just watching the movie, I was so caught up in it, I didn't draw a lot of those parallels while it was going on. It was just like, oh, these character moments are cool.
And I didn't know, Terry, for sure. Like, I'm curious myself how much we're supposed to take it that the Republic is gone. They didn't really make that clear. And I don't think it was supposed to be that, like, the Republic. And I do think we're supposed to think that, like, important people were taken out. But I don't think we quite understood at the end, like, who did die of significance when in that one attack.
They left out a lot of information even leading into the story, like why is the Resistance so small if that's the ruling body of the galaxy?
Yeah.
Like there were things like that where you're like, why is it called a Resistance if they're in charge? You know,
right.
Usually you have a Resistance when somebody else is, you know, being. Well, I guess in World War II, the Resistance was just kind of part of the fight, right? But they were occupying an area in World War II that
also,
belonged to somebody else.
how did General Hux like not destroy the actual Resistance base? Why? I thought that was a little strange. I was like, why did you? Were they really that close? Like,
The thing about that moment, the like destruction of planets moment with the Starkiller base was a little weird because it was like in A New Hope you had Princess Leia there to be the person who cared very,
we
very
knew what it
deeply.
meant to her at least,
You destroy 3 random planets and you're like, cool, to people on the surface.
That would have been the Jar Jar cameo
fireworks.
moment if they were going to include it. You just see Jar Jar looking up as...
As of right now, we don't know whether or not that was Coruscant, but I like to think that they were on Coruscant. We were
Right.
talking about that earlier. We both had that thought where we're like, hey, is the Republic still on Coruscant? That would be cool.
Yeah, it would be. Is Mom Mothma there? What's going on?